Hey everybody, the MidTower Deluxe Black Max is in for service today and is getting some nice upgrades. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Black Max, this is my mom and dad's computer. It hasn't been seen nearly as much on my channel since 2016 because in late 2016 I moved out of my parents' house into my own place. But this is their machine. The last time I gave it a major upgrade was in 2013. Installed an AMD A6 6420K APU processor and socket FM2 Plus motherboard. The ASRock FM2 A78 Pro 3 Plus. It's a pretty basic run-of-the-mill machine. It has 8 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive. My parents primarily do internet browsing and they'll play like card games and stuff on it, but nothing much more than that. The machine has been very reliable for them for the past 5 years since it got its last upgrade, and I figured it's time to give it some speed improvements. The single 1 terabyte hard drive, it's a Seagate 1 terabyte Barracuda, not exactly the fastest hard drive out there. And that was probably the weakest link on this machine, is the hard drive as far as performance goes. So we're going to fix that. We're going to fix it right with a solid state drive. This is a Samsung H60 Evo V9 solid state drive, 250 gigabytes. I'm going to use this as the OS boot drive, and the hard drive will be converted into a data storage drive. So here's a look at the system properties. Again, as I mentioned, AMD A6 6420K APU with Radeon XG graphics. One thing I'm going to probably try to do is I'm going to see if I can overclock this APU a bit. Not sure how well it's going to go. It's already a 4 GHz APU to begin with. It has an air cooler, heat pipe cooler. This is actually an AMD box cooler from, I think, an older FX processor from back in the day. It's pretty nice cooler, so a whole lot better than the stock cooler that comes with these APUs. Which, if I have one sitting around, I'd be glad to show you. Oh yeah. It's definitely a lot better than that little piece of crap there. Yeah, that thing. Now that cooler there is not absolutely terrible, but I don't think you'll be able to do much overclocking with it. So I have this this AMD stock cooler, which I have swapped the fan out for a better fan. The fan that's on there could actually ramp up and move a whole lot more air, but I got it set to where it runs a lot quieter. So again, there's the system properties. So I've already completed the preliminary steps to this upgrade. I've actually backed up all their files from my mom's folder, my dad's user folder, and the public folder. I backed them up to a different location, and I've went ahead and deleted all the files outside of the desktops. So documents folder, pictures folder, music folder, all that stuff, I've went ahead and deleted the previous Windows installations that Windows 10 likes to leave behind when it does platform updates, or when it updates to a new build. Feature updates, that's what they're actually called. Cleaned up the Windows Update Store, where it stores all the files for that. So the hard drive, which previously had over 50% utilization, is now down to like this. It has only about 90 gigabytes used. So that will easily fit on a 250 gigabyte solid state drive. And once I copy this over to the SSD, I'm then going to restore all the files over to the hard drive. I'm gonna actually format the hard drive and then restore those files over to the hard drive and set this up to where the documents, pictures, music, videos, blah blah blah, when you go into your start menu and you click on the button, it takes you to the right place, which I'm going to have a separate video on actually how to do that. It's pretty simple. So that I'm going to update the Windows 10 to 1809. I'm also going to convert the installation from MBR to GPT, because this motherboard is actually a UEFI motherboard, but it's running an MBR based install. It's because it was upgraded from Windows 7 sometime back when. And this thing should definitely run a whole lot faster with a solid state drive. Okay, so now I'm going to clone the data off this drive onto the solid state drive, as that's the boot drive. And we'll make this the boot drive. So to start out, I'm going to go ahead and unpack this solid state drive. And I use the Plexi to do the data clone. So there's the solid state drive. A closer look at it. Now I'll go ahead and just plug this up like so to the Plexi. And this second cable will get attached to the hard drive in the Black Max. And I use the power supply in the Black Max to run the hard drive. I'm going to start the machine. And I'll go ahead and use a data cloning utility to go ahead and clone this drive. Okay, so now we're in the Partition Wizard. This is MiniTool Partition Wizard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate this drive. I'm going to actually do copy disk. Select the Seagate 1000 gigabyte 1 terabyte drive, and we'll select this as our destination. And we'll just have to make sure that let me change it, because we're actually moving to a smaller size disk. Okay, so everything here looks fine. There's a system reserved and the main partition. Then we'll choose finish and go ahead and apply. And it's going to copy the data off the hard drive onto the solid state drive. Okay, so I finished cloning the drives. So I can go ahead and shut this off. And go ahead and install the solid state drive. Now I have not formatted, or I haven't deleted partitions off the hard drive just yet. I'm going to wait a moment before I actually do that. I'm going to make sure that this SSD boots up just fine first before I do anything with the hard drive. So we're going to disconnect the SSD from the Plexi. And we'll go ahead and grab our mounting bracket so I can mount it into the chassis. We're using a slightly different mounting bracket this time versus what I had before. Normally I would buy the ones from Sabrent, and one time I used the plastic one, which was not that great, but the Sabrent ones were pretty nice. I got this Corsair one because it was the only one that was available for next day delivery. And Corsair conveniently packs the 4 mounting screws for the case in one bag and the 4 mounting screws for the SSD in another bag. How nice. Okay, so I got the solid state drive mounted up. Now I just need to go ahead and install it into the system. What I'm going to do is I got to take the left, or depending on which side you're looking at, the left or right panel off. Okay, it's installed. Just got install a SATA cable. I had this yellow one here, but that's not the one I'm wanting. I want one that has locking ends on it. And preferably, I prefer to have a short SATA cable. So, see what I have in my collection here. I think that should do it right there. That's like 8 inches long. Okay, I got the cables connected, then got the SSD put in. Which I was getting the SATA cable out was kind of a pain due to the location of the headers on the board, but it's in there now. Yeah, the thing about this case, the case that Black Max uses is it's not very long from front to back. It's not as long as a typical MidTower. As a matter of fact, it's not much longer from front to back than this thing E-Machine's tower. So, like if I want to replace the motherboard, I gotta take the hard drives out. Just to give you an idea. It's kind of tight, but I do like the case. It's a pretty nice case, given the amount it costs during the time that my parents had got it for this build years ago. Let's see, we'll leave this one off like that. It's a Oxide Luster X case, I think is what it's called, and kind of similar to the X-Tag 2 case that the MidTower Deluxe, my MidTower Deluxe uses. There's not many of them. This case was discontinued sometime after I had gotten it, and kind of similar situation with the MidTower Deluxe case. They quit making it not too long after I got it. So, let's go ahead and start this thing up. See if it starts off the solid state drive. So right now I actually don't even have the hard drive plugged up. I will go ahead and connect power to it. For now I'm going to leave the SATA cable unplugged. Okay, let's see what we get now. And start it up. And we are booting off the solid state drive. Yeah, I think what happened was when I shut it down last, it shut down in fast startup mode. And anytime you change your RAM or your storage or whatever, it really it won't boot back up in fast startup. It will have to use the conventional startup. That's why it reset like that. But that startup was using the SSD, and I don't think I captured a conventional startup with the hard drive. But this is already a ton faster than it ever started on the hard drive outside of fast startup. And Windows 10, every once in a while it likes to randomly start Task Manager if I hadn't run it before. Okay, so I think now we're safe to go ahead and wipe the hard drive and actually get it ready for storing our data. Actually, first, however, I'm going to go ahead and do an MBR to GPT conversion of their of the Windows 10 installer, because as I mentioned earlier, it's booting up and it's currently an MBR based operating system, and we want it to be a UEFI because this motherboard is a UEFI motherboard. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and let it roll. Let the camera roll through this. I do have a video on how to do MBR to GPT conversions. This functionality has been available ever since Windows 10 1703, I think. So we're going to do a conventional boot of the USB stick. So I think right now this is actually still running on 1709 Windows 10. So right now it's booting into the setup utility for Windows 10. And don't worry about this. Just press Shift and F10 to get a command prompt. And I'll zoom this in a little further so you can hopefully see a little better. So first I'm going to start disk part. And I'm going to list all the available disks that are on this machine. Usually disk 0 is the correct disk you want to work with. So yeah, disk 0 is the main partition. So let's go and exit this. Now we need to go ahead and do a validation of the partitions on the drive. So we'll do MBR number 2 GPT space / disk :0 without any spaces, then space / validate. And for some reason it's not finding the OS partitions for disk 0. Okay, so what I did here is I just went ahead and did an in-place upgrade to Windows 10 1809, and I reran the validation. This time I ran the validation from within Windows just to see if it would pass it, and it looks to have passed it. So I went ahead and I've created a backup of this SSD install. Actually, I did that before I did the 1809 upgrade. I tried doing the conversion on the hard drive install. What's funny is it passed validation, but once it went to convert, it failed at creating the UEFI partition. It would say it could not create the UEFI system partition, and it rendered the entire installation unbootable, which is great. So yes, I have a backup of the SSD in case things go south with this. So yeah, if you're using MBR to GPT, I recommend doing a backup of your system if you care about it. I use this utility all the time on clean installs, and it usually works just fine there, but in the case of an existing install, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and back up your files just to be safe. So, pan this out a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and attempt the conversion from within the Windows installer. Windows setup, rather. It's just safer to do it that way, because you don't have any conflicts with software or stuff like that. So, just going to restart it. Hopefully this will work, because this, when it's installed, is probably at least 3 years old. And of course, as the installation ages, there's lots of more stuff that has to be reconfigured if you do a clean install. Get totally just ignored my request for a boot menu. Here we are. Yeah, I was pressing the wrong key. Yeah, I tell you, some machines it's F9s, other machines it's F11. It's like take your pick. So I'm going to boot off the flash drive in conventional mode. I'm going to run the validation again. It completed successfully. Okay, moment of truth, let's do the conversion. This is where it would fail on the hard drive. Okay, it was successful. Yes, it was successful. Okay, so with this motherboard, if it's like the motherboards I use for the Ryzen 3 2200G system builds, I should not have to touch the BIOS settings. The ASRock boards and the one that's in the MidTower Deluxe is the same way. It will boot either an EFI partition or an MBR partition without having to go into the BIOS and set it from CSM to UEFI. I like it that way. It makes things a lot more convenient. So, go ahead and exit and pull out the flash drive, and we should be booting up in EFI mode now. Yep. There we are. Of course, I always recommend on a system that has a UEFI board that you always install it in UEFI mode. Things just work better. Sometimes it will also cut down on your boot time just by a little bit. Okay, so that means we can move on to the next stage of this project. We have Windows 10 upgraded to 1809. It boots up in UEFI mode. Now we need to restore the files. However, first, what I'm going to do is configure things so that the documents it launches Task Manager by itself. It's funny. I'm going to configure this to to where the documents, pictures, music folders, when you go into like system, like for example, you go to Explorer, you know, these here, like right now it's not sure what to do, so we need to go in and get that straightened out. Okay, so here's how we can set this up. We have to go into File Explorer, which is of course usually on your taskbar, and now Windows 7, this FYI, Windows 7, by default it tends to prefer using the library structure rather than this using the user profile structure like they did in Vista. But in Windows 10 they kind of did away with it. You can still enable libraries, but this FYI, this is not the same as setting your setting up your libraries. So on the left pane here, you want to locate your user profile, which usually will be your name, and under that you'll have documents, music, pictures, videos, so on and so forth. Now Windows 10, it's under this PC, and it could be the same in older operating systems as well. So you can actually change the location of your desktop, your documents, download, music, pictures, and videos. We're going to leave the desktop at its default location. So if you go to Properties, you'll see Location, to where you can change the default save location. So we'll leave that as is, but we are going to change the default location for documents, downloads, music, pictures, and videos. So go to Properties. You right click on the item. You go to Properties. In Location, we're going to change this from C to D, because what I've done here is, if we look back in Explorer, there's the C drive, which is the solid state drive. Here's the data drive, which is the D drive. And here's the users folder, and I just simply moved the when I backed up the files, I pasted them back into this drive. I formatted it, or I actually completely deleted all partitions, start with a fresh new partition, and then restored these folders right here. So I have to do this for all the user accounts. There's 2 user accounts, so there's more stuff in here, but I have to do it for both this account and this account. So anyways, so you can see there's a move option, which I believe will allow you to move the files off of one drive to another. I have not actually tried that, but that's there. I do recommend, I personally recommend copying the files over to your new drive if you're doing a solid state drive conversion. In other words, you're going from a standard hard drive to a solid state drive for your operating system, and your hard drive being used for your data. But I hope that makes sense. So click OK on that. And it's going to ask you, do you want to move all the files from the location to a new location? I'm going to say no to that, because I've already taken care of that. So yeah, it will ask you if you would like to move the stuff. So we've done it for documents, now we need to do it for downloads. Same thing. Location, we're changing it from a C to a D. Now do it for music. Again, change it to a D. I actually clicked yes that time, but it's not going to matter because there's not really anything on the drive to move, other than maybe a couple of folders that were automatically regenerated. Okay, so just to double check. Make sure they're on the D drive. Yep, there we are. Okay, so that's that. So I'll go and repeat these steps for the other user account and we'll be good to go. Okay everybody, I finalized overclocking the APU in this machine. I didn't touch the graphics, but I did touch the CPU. I got it running at, let's see, 4.6 gigahertz, and it's good and stable. So pretty decent overclock. It did make a noticeable improvement in things like boot performance and stuff like that. Now this CPU does have some power saving functions enabled. I noticed the voltage is kind of all over the place. I got the voltage set to like, I had to increase the voltage from the stock voltage to like, I think 1.375 to keep it stable. It started needing more voltage at about 4.5 gigahertz, and I got it at 4.6 now. It's just a simple multiplier overclock. I set the multiplier up from 40 to 46, so the bus is still at 100. The core is now at 4.6 gigahertz. So now we're going to start the machine and see how it does with start performance. The solid state drive did make a noticeable improvement, although the weakest link now is the APU. As you see now, it boots up in UEFI and not master boot, not the old master boot record. So now we're at the desktop, and this time I'll do a shutdown and startup to demonstrate the Windows 10 fast startup. And we'll start it back up. So we do get a little bit of an improvement in fast startup versus regular startup. So yeah, the Black Max now has a solid state drive and an overclocked APU, which will definitely make a nice improvement in performance versus how it was before. So anyways, I think this wraps up for the Black Max upgrades. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Well guys, that's it for this one. But it doesn't have to be. There's plenty more videos on the channel to check out. Also, if you liked the video, please click the like button. And if you absolutely hated it, there is the alternative button as well. But yeah, please subscribe to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. And remember to click the bell so that we get notified of all updates. Also, if you're interested in things aside from computers and technology, check out my second channel. It's CubeComp MTDX. Over there you'll find videos about weather, elevators, bicycling, and pretty much whatever else I figure out to upload. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for your support.